I'm speaking with Tom Morris.
That is right. Little Caesar is, we've finished up a new record, Redemption, and we've put that out digitally in the U.S., and we're in talks right now, finalizing a deal with a label in the U.K. who are going to put it out there physically and digitally as well.
It's not out yet, or is that what you're saying?
We kind of put it out there, but we're still doing some work on it.
Like to
So
promote.
it's almost like we're going to re-release it.
And how's the reviews coming up to now? Is it comparing to the old days of Little Caesar with the fans?
It seems to be, you know. I mean, it seems like the reviews that I've seen thus far have been really good. I mean, it's been years since we've put out a record, but it's straight up rock and roll like we were before. I suppose in some of the time that's passed, we might have picked up new influences and inspirations, but we're still pretty much true to what we were. So I don't think anyone who's into Little Caesar will be disappointed.
Back in the early 90s, when you guys had a lot of tattoos and stuff, the press didn't look at it like a plus back then. Now it's like standard.
Well, it's kind of funny because at the time that we came out, we were sort of at the tail end of the, 80s sunset glam metal and, what was about to happen out of the Pacific Northwest, the whole grunge scene. And we really didn't quite fit into the scene. And at the time, we were considered very hardcore looking and scary, which, I look back now and think it's kind of funny because so much has happened since then. The popularity of tattoos and piercings, which at the time we started was pretty unusual.
Then it could mean at the time you guys were pioneers in that,
Yeah, we were also one of the early bands sporting facial hair, too, with the goatees, which, have now become, facial hair has become very popular as well. But yeah, it is funny how everybody and their mom has tattoos now, which is, it's considered very commonplace.
Your singer, Ron Young, he's in Terminator II, playing the tough guy, talking to
Right.
Arnold. How did that happen? They picked him out.
Well, Ron actually knew the director, James Cameron, from, I think, James' then girlfriend, Catherine Bigelow. It's funny because both of them are in the news right now because James Cameron's coming out with Avatar, which I was just reading about, and Catherine Bigelow has a movie called The Hurt Locker. It's getting a lot of attention. And Ron knew Catherine from New York, and through Catherine he met Jim Cameron, and Jim thought Ron would be, good in the biker scene, so that's kind of how that came about.
Did that give you popularity as Little Caesar? Did people see this?
I think so. I mean, it certainly helped Ron get recognized a lot. Maybe there was a little bit of maybe we were the recipients of a little bit of the popularity from that, but I just remember Ron would get recognized all the time right after that movie came out from that one scene. But people always remember it.
Every gig you guys do now, you guys play Chain of Fools?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah,
People
I
really
don't think
recognize
there's ever
that.
a gig where we haven't played that.
Whose idea was it to make that classic Little Caesar hit?
I think Ron. It was Ron's idea to do that, and Wish It Would Rain. I mean, because Ron comes from a very much of an R&B influenced background, soul, and he brought a lot of that influence into the band. And the rest of us were influenced by different styles of rock, and so when he brought those R&B standards in, we just sort of tried to make them more like us, because you're not going to top those songs on their own merits. If we were to try to do Chain of Fools like Aretha Franklin did it, or the Wish It Rain like the Temptations, it would be impossible to top. So we just tried to make them rockin' versions.
You guys got to play with Earl Slick. He was a guitar player. Why did he not go back with Little Caesar?
I think it was just sort of a point in time. Apache was the original guitar player and ended up parting ways before the second record. And, we needed somebody to replace him. And Lauren, our other guitar player, had known Earl Slick and talked to him. And, Earl seemed into it and, joined the band. But, kind of after Little Caesar went its separate ways before we got back together again, Earl was back playing with Bowie and doing his stuff. So,
would you say that Earl Slick added character to the group at the time, like extra fans that follow Earl Slick?
I think I think there might have been a bit of that. I mean, Earl Slick's always sort of been to me, like a cult guitar player. I mean, he's not
right.
A household name, but the people that know rock and roll know that, like, wow, he was playing with Bowie when he was a young guy, and he played with Ian Hunter, and, he's certainly extremely accomplished. But, Apache was very accomplished, too, in his own right, so it took someone the caliber of Earl Slick to be able to replace Apache because Apache was that good.
Says a lot for Apache, getting Earl Slick to replace him, that's great.
Apache's quite the guitar player himself. So,
the Redemption album, you guys doing a tour coming soon with this? With the release?
Yeah, we're talking about getting over to Europe in the spring or the summer, and then possibly Japan sometime after that. I think at this point the band wants to focus on doing dates abroad as opposed to doing the U.S. right off the bat. It seems like that's where most of the attention is at this point, from our MySpace page, and a lot of the response we're getting is from Spain, Italy, the UK, and it's not just older people that were into the music back in the day, but a lot of young kids who have discovered us, however they've discovered us. But, I think it's great that there are a lot of young kids that can appreciate old school rock and roll. We're finding quite a bit lately.
So basically the overseas is the market at the moment for Little Caesar.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we want to focus at the moment, particularly since our label's based over there and in management. So, we're going to try to get over there either spring or summer. And also, Europe is so small compared to the States, you can cover a lot of area and hit a lot of different areas. So you can be a bit more efficient than you can going out across the U.S., which can be a long slog.
The internet helped out Little Caesar's reunion career a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, we didn't start using it as early as we should, and we're kind of making up for lost time. But yeah, absolutely. It's really helped out a lot, both in us reaching out to people and, people like yourself contacting us. So it's, I'm sure it's been great for, all bands.
You guys are going to be played for a long time, I'm sure, with the song Little Caesar made Chain of Fools, and, it's going to keep on being played on radio. Yeah, no, I mean, that it's kind of nice to have some music that people remember fondly, and it's nice that some of the messages we get from people writing into our page, they just say the band meant to them a lot in the day, and they're really glad we're back, or they really like the new record, and they want us to come out and play in their town. So it's really encouraging. Well, Tom, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Well, I appreciate that, and I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me.